The reconciliation process can be very time-consuming for some companies. With Odoo, we can save a lot of time thanks to reconciliation models enabling us to automate most of the reconciliation process. Let's dive in and see how this works. To access your reconciliation models and see how they are configured, you need to go in the accounting application. In the configuration menu, you will see here the reconciliation models. So by default, there are already some existing reconciliation models, but you can of course create new ones if you want to, and you can also change the order in which those are presented. The first one is the most important one and should always be at the top of the list because it enables you to suggest a counterpart to match an existing invoice and bill with a bank transaction that you have in your bank statements. Based of course on the conditions that you see here below, so these are the conditions that we need. The payment tolerance down to 0, so meaning we want the exact same account amount between the invoice and bill and the transaction. We also want the same currency. We want the label of the transaction to match the invoice reference, and we want the partner to be set on the transaction. If those conditions are properly met, Odoo will automatically validate the matching and the transaction. This will update the payment entry thanks to this feature, Auto Validate. These conditions are really reliable, but of course, we can decide to auto validate it or not. And you can also adapt this in other reconciliation models. Next up is a little bit different because we are in the use of a cash discount, meaning the amount is slightly lower than the one on the invoice amount, and this reflects in the payment tolerance where we have 3% tolerance. Odoo will automatically match the invoice and bill with the transaction. However, the difference is going to go here in the expense amount that we've served in the reconciliation model. Next up here is slightly different because we don't have matching existing invoices or bills because we don't have one. So in the use case of bank fees, instead of using a counterpart entry, we will use it automatically based on the label condition. The label must contain bank fees as a reference. In that case, the account as a counterpart will be our financial expense account. That's it for reconciliation models, and thank you for listening.